Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel Query Solution. So this is a very important video that I'm making on the chapter Life Process, where I'm going to discuss all the important definitions with regards to the chapter. In this video, we are mainly going to talk about the definitions which are related to certain important concepts or the processes mainly. We are not going to talk about the definitions of organs in this video. If you want me to make a video on definitions of organs as well that are involved in the chapter, you can comment to me in the comment section box and I'll be surely making a video on that as well. So let us start our video on all the important definitions with regards to the chapter life processes. So talking about our very first definition and defining the title of the chapter, what is life process itself? So the processes mainly which are required for the growth, maintenance and survival of any living organism are the processes which we say as life processes. And all the important processes that we have talked in this chapter completely, like the concept of digestion, respiration, excretion or circulation, all are the different examples of various life processes that are important for the body to happen. So as in this chapter, the very first concept is what we have studied is the definition of nutrition now. So just to point out here, many children make a mistake that they write nutrition is the process of obtaining the food, or they write nutrition is the process of eating the food. So that is something which is absolutely wrong, I would say. The complete definition is the process which involves obtaining the food and utilization of this food to produce energy. This entire two key point is what makes up the definition of the concept of nutrition. So as we have discussed again, in the case of nutrition, there are two important types of nutrition that we have studied. First is the autotrophic mode of nutrition. And how do we define this as? So this is the mode of nutrition in which organism prepare its own food. This is known as autotrophic nutrition. And the organisms that perform such mode of nutrition are something which are known as autotrophs. And we do know the examples are plants. When we talk about the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, this mainly means the mode of nutrition in which one organism depends on other organism for food or for nutrition. That is what is meant by heterotrophic nutrition. So the organisms that perform such mode of nutrition are known as heterotroph, and we humans are the best example for it, because we do know that we can't make our own food. Even if we stand in sunlight, even if we drink water, any such activity we do, but still we can't make our own food like plants. That's why we are heterotrophs and plants are the examples of autotroph. Now, since here we are talking about autotrophic mode of nutrition, so based on NCERT and CBSE, we do need to know what is photosynthesis is all about. So, photosynthesis mainly means the process in which the organism, that is plant, is going to produce its own food but in the presence of light. So we do have understood all the entire concept where we have studied that plant will make their own food by utilizing sunlight, utilizing chlorophyll, utilizing carbon dioxide and water to generate energy in the form of ATP. And this is how the balanced chemical equation of the process of photosynthesis looks like. So here I just want to pen down one important point. I have seen many children throughout my career where I am looking at that they write the equation as 6CO2 and 6H2O. So that's not right. That does not make the equation balanced. So always make sure that when you're writing the equation, there are 12 molecules of water and 6 molecules of CO2 that are used up to produce 1 molecule of glucose, liberating 6 oxygen molecule and 6 water molecules as well. So this is a balanced equation for the process of photosynthesis. Now, since here we talked about photosynthesis, there are two important reactions that we need to talk about as well. One is the light reaction, which is also known as a light dependent phase mainly. So what is this phase mainly? The light dependent phase which occurs in the thylakoid region of the chloroplast, which involves the generation of energy rich molecules like ATP and NADPH or NADH mainly. These are the molecules which, or this reaction is something which is known as a light reaction. And what is a dark reaction then? So dark reaction is a light independent reaction. So a basic point of difference here, light reaction is a dependent reaction, light dependent reaction, whereas dark reaction is a light independent reaction. So I'm not explaining the concept here. I've already covered entire concept in every minute detail needed based on NCERT in my video. So you can check out those. I'm just talking about the definition part here. So these dark reactions are also known as the biosynthetic phase, which occurs in the stroma region of the chloroplast, which involve utilization of these energy rich molecules that are produced during the light reaction and using this energy to reduce the carbon dioxide into glucose. So these are few definitions with regards to the concept and introduction of the chapter. So continuing the concept of nutrition, but now the Holozoic mode of nutrition mainly. So what is Holozoic? The mode of nutrition that we get to see in the case of human like us. So how do we define this mode as? So the nutrition in which an organism takes a whole complex organic food into its body by ingestion, which is then digested and absorbed by the cells, which results in the generation of energy and also removal of the waste from the body. So we do know that the Holozoic mode of nutrition is something that involves five major steps into it, which are ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. We all undergo all these five stages where we intake the food, where the food is digested, then the food is absorbed, then the food is assimilated, and the removal of undigested waste as well. So, to summarize everything together, is how we can define the mode of Holozoic nutrition as. And as I stated, the best example are humans who perform this mode of nutrition. So let us quickly see what are all these five steps quickly. Ingestion, as the name suggests, in means here it's the process where taking the food inside the body. Digestion means what? Where the complex food materials that we eat are broken down into simple ones, and we do know that here enzymes play a very important part. Absorption is the process which mainly occurs in the small intestine area and mostly by the villi which are present in the small intestine, as this process involves the absorption of the digested food. So in digestion we have broken down the complex food to simple. Now this simple food will be absorbed by the villi of small intestine by the process which is known as absorption. Then involves the process of assimilation. And what does that mean? So it is the process that involves the production of energy by the oxidation of the digested food. And lastly, whatever material of the food which remains undigested, removal of those materials is something that we say as egestion, right? So these are all the five steps that are included under the Holozoic mode of nutrition and a very important part when we talk about the human digestive system as well. Again, based on NCERT and CBSE, there is a small introduction which is given regarding the different modes of nutrition also. So let us quickly check that out. What is saprophytic nutrition? So the nutrition which is seen in the case of fungus. So what is that? The mode of nutrition in which the organisms feed on dead and decayed matter. This is very important. How does the organism obtain nutrition from? So they obtain the nutrition from dead and decayed matter by releasing enzymes for digestion of complex material into diffusible forms, and later absorption of these materials by their body surface is what makes up the saprophytic mode of nutrition. Parasitic nutrition, again a very easy one, I think you would have already studied. So the mode of nutrition in which one organism depends on the other organism for food, which we say as a host organism. A very important keyword here is something that we say as the parasitic mode of nutrition. And we do know when we talk about parasitic mode, there are ectoparasites and endoparasites. Ecto, which are going to obtain the nutrition from the surface, from the body surface. Endo, which obtain the nutrition from inside the body mainly. So ectoparasite examples are leeches, Like the best example you would have seen, right? In even in therapies now, in medical therapies, and in many clinics, they have started using leech. They put leech on the surface of skin, and through that they suck the blood. So what is the leech mainly doing? The leech is sucking the blood by being placed on the surface. They are not going inside your body, but just being external to your body, they are obtaining nutrition, and that is what it make them as ectoparasite, means taking the nutrition from outside the body. But when certain organisms goes inside the body of the host organism and obtain nutrition, then that is something which are known as endoparasites, and tapeworm are the examples of such parasitic organisms. So these are all the important definitions with regards to the first important concept, which was the. So these, as you can see, are all the important definitions with regards to the first important concept of the chapter life process, which is the nutrition. Now let us talk about the definitions with regards to the second important life process, which is respiration. So how do we define respiration as? So respiration is the process that involves taking in of the oxygen into the cells, utilizing it for the oxidation of the food, and then eliminating the waste from the body. This is how you define the process of respiration as. So in the digestion process, what have we seen? We have taken in the food, we have digested that complex food into simple food. But digestion still does not mean that once the food is digested or absorbed by the blood, you will get energy. No, that's wrong. Your food has just been digested by now. Your food has just reached to the different cells of your body. Now it's the job of the cells of your body, or the mitochondria which is present in the cells of your body, to now utilize this digested food and oxidize this food. Once your food by the mitochondria gets oxidized, then actually what happens is you get energy in the form of ATP. And as we know, for oxidation of the food, what do we require? So for oxidation, we first of all require oxygen. For oxidation of the food, we definitely require the food materials as well. And what is the place where the respiration process is going to happen? So this is going to happen at the mitochondrial level of the cells of your body. So the blood absorb your digested food from the small intestine, as we have seen, sends it to the different cells of your body. The cells already have this oxygen. The cells now have the food. The cells will burn the food. The cells will now oxidize the food, and that will result in the generation of energy. And this is the process here we are talking about, which is known as the respiration, right? Now, how is your body getting this oxygen? So again, just to give you a quick reminder here, many children make a mistake that they think the process of respiration is something which is similar to breathing. So let me just tell you one difference here. Breathing and respiration both goes hand in hand, because both are dependent on each other to happen, but they are not same. In respiration, we talk about generation of energy, we talk about oxidation of the food. But in breathing, we don't talk about generation or oxidation, we talk about taking in of the oxygen. This is the important difference between respiration and breathing. So I hope you guys are now clear. So how do you define breathing as? So breathing is mainly the process of inhaling of the oxygen, that is the gas we take in, and exhalation of the carbon dioxide, that is the gas we give out. Carbon dioxide is just a gas which is produced at the end of respiration. So this is what is breathing all about. And as we know, again, what is inhalation? So the process of taking in of the air which is rich in oxygen is something that's known as inhalation. And what is exhalation then? So the process of removing out air which is rich in carbon dioxide. As I said you, the gas which is generating because of respiration that has happened now is CO2. So the removal of this gas mainly out of your body occurs by the process which we say as exhalation. So I hope you guys are clear with the difference between respiration, breathing, inhalation and exhalation. Okay. Now, what is this cellular respiration then? Is this something different? So no, it's not different, but it is the process of respiration that occurs at the cellular level. So as I said you, that this respiration will happen at the cells of your body. This will happen at the cellular level of the body. And since it happened at the cellular level, the same procedure of respiration is what we say as cellular respiration also. So respiration or cellular respiration is one and the same. Another important point that you should note over here, Whenever we talk about respiration, we are talking about energy rich molecules, that is generation of ATP. So how is this ATP produced? So ATP is produced, which is adenosine triphosphate, as you can see here, is produced by the combination of two molecules, which are ADP, that is adenosine diphosphate, and along with this an inorganic phosphate molecule also. All right, so these are few definitions with regards to the chapter, with regards to the concept, I'm sorry, with regards to the concept of respiration. Now, in the case of respiration, again, we have talked about the different modes of respiration. So, let us quickly see that as well. So, what are aerobic, anaerobic, and lactic acid fermentation? These are the three different modes of respirations that you have studied again. So, aerobic means the mode of respiration which occurs in the presence of oxygen, and this is something which we also say as the mode of complete oxidation of the food. So, we do know by now, whenever there is complete oxidation happening, there is generation of CO2, there is generation of water along with the energy rich molecules which are ATP. What is the site for aerobic respiration that happens? So we do know aerobic respiration happens at the level of your cells and especially at the mitochondrial level, right? What is anaerobic respiration then? So the mode of respiration that occurs in the absence of oxygen. So just be clear with regards to the differences. Whenever there is incomplete oxidation happening because there is absence of oxygen which it has occurred, it results in the generation of different sets of end products. So what are the different sets? Here it was CO2. Here also in anaerobic it's CO2. But the difference is here it results in the generation of alcohol, that is ethanol, along with lesser molecules of ATP, that is only two molecules rather. Another mode of respiration, which is lactic acid fermentation, again a mode that happens in your own bodies as well, specialized in the muscle cells mainly that we talk about. So the mode of respiration that occurred in the condition where there is insufficient supply of oxygen, resulting in the generation of an acid, that is lactic acid, along with ATP, is something that we say as lactic acid fermentation. Okay. So these are the three important different modes of respiration depending on the availability, unavailability, or insufficiency of the oxygen levels. Now, as we do know that whenever we talk about the modes of respiration, the first important step that happens is the 6 carbon compound molecule glucose gets broken down into 3 carbon compound molecule which is known as pyruvate, and this happen at the cytoplasmic level of the cell. So this process of conversion of glucose into pyruvate is something which is known as glycolysis. So you don't need to understand the details of it, but you should know the important keyword at least here, which is glycolysis. The breaking down of glucose to produce pyruvate is glycolysis. And then what is Krebs cycle? So this pyruvate which is produced now breaks down and goes into different modes of respiration depending on the availability of oxygen, is something that we say as Krebs cycle. So this much is enough for you to know with regards to grade 10. Though Krebs cycle is a very detailed concept, but you have to study that in detail in higher grades, not in grade 10 at all. So these are some of the informations with regards to the concept of respiration. So now let us quickly see the concepts with regards to another important concept, which is the transportation. So the next important concept is on the concept of transportation. So what is transportation? How do you define transportation as? So this is the process which involves the transportation of materials or substances from one part of the body to other. This is how you define transportation as. And in the case of transportation, we have studied the circulatory system. So how do you define this system as? So the organ system which involves the transportation of blood through various components of its systems like the blood vessels, the heart, is what is something we say as the circulatory system. In the circulatory system, again, we have studied about the different blood vessels like the arteries and the veins. So let us quickly see them. What are arteries? So these are the blood vessels which are responsible for the transportation of blood which is rich in oxygen. And there is another important exception being to it, which is the pulmonary artery. What are veins then? So these are the blood vessels which are responsible for the transportation of blood which is rich in carbon dioxide, which is known as the deoxygenated blood. And again we have exception when we talk about veins, which are the pulmonary veins. When we talked about circulation, we understood the concept of double circulation too. So what is this? This is the process of transportation of blood which occurs through the heart twice. One when it occurs in the form of oxygenated blood, and one when it occurs in the form of deoxygenated blood. Then this entire circulation mode in human is something we say as double circulation. There is again important concepts regarding the pulmonary and systemic circulation which you have to be aware about. Pulmonary circulation is the one which involves the flow through the lungs. That's why the name pulmonary is here. And how does the blood flow? So here the blood flow from the right ventricle to the left ventricle, covering everything from the right ventricle till the left ventricle of the heart, is something that we say as pulmonary circulation. And what is systemic? So the flow of the blood that occurs from the left ventricle till the right atrium, everything, every part which gets involved in the flow between the left ventricle and the right atrium, is something that we say as systemic circulation. So this is about the important definitions regarding the pulmonary and systemic circulations. Again, another important concept we have studied is the concept of blood pressure. So how do you define blood pressure as? So it is the pressure which is exerted by the walls of arteries when the ventricles either contract or the ventricles either relax, because we do know the blood pressure is something that we measure in terms of the upper pressure and the lower pressure, and that's exactly what we talk when we say about ventricular systole and ventricular diastole. So first of all, what does systole means? So systole means contraction. Be clear on that. Systole means contraction and diastole means relaxation. And whose contraction and relaxation here we are talking about? So we are talking about the contraction and relaxation of the ventricles of the heart. So when the ventricles of your heart contract, the pressure which is exerted by the arteries of your body when the ventricles are contracted, that is something we say as a ventricular systole. And what is ventricular diastole? So it is the pressure which is exerted by the wall of arteries again, but when the ventricles are relaxed, that is something we say as a ventricular diastole. So whenever we talk about BP, we do talk about the pressure which is the ventricular systolic pressure and the pressure which is the ventricular diastolic pressure. That's what make up the normal value as 120 by 80. 120 resembles your ventricular systole normal range, and the 80 which we say as the low side of BP is something that is the ventricular diastole. Alright. Then the instrument that we use to measure the blood pressure, mainly you might have seen a machine at your clinics, maybe at home as well. This is a very common machine now which we use to measure BP, and that is something which say as sphygmomanometer. Again, a very possible question of 1 mark in exam, so be aware. Then when we talked about circulation or transportation, mainly we have talked about another important system which was lymph. So how do we define lymph as? So lymph is a pale colorless tissue fluid which comprises mainly of water, proteins, the white blood cells, very important part, germs, debris and other various elements mainly into it. That's what makes up the lymph. How do you define blood clotting as? Again, so the process in which the blood stops to come out from the injured area by the action of specialized blood cells which are known as platelets is something that we say as blood clotting. So this is about the concepts with regards to the concept of circulation, but not exactly entirely transportation, because in transportation we have studied the transportation in plants as well. So these are few definitions with regards to the concept of transportation in plants. So in plants, we have studied the important part which is transpiration. And how do you define transpiration as? So it is the loss of water in the form of vapors which occurs from the aerial parts of the plant. That is something we define as transpiration as. And what is translocation then? So the process involving active transportation of food. Now why active here? Because this involves utilization of energy. Alright. So the process involving active transportation of food, that is sugars, in plant through the phloem tissue is something that we say as translocation. Alright. So these were few definitions with regards to the concept of transportation. Talking about the last important concept, which is the concept of excretion. So again, let us quickly see what are the different definitions regarding to this. All right, so how do you define excretion as? So it is the process of removal of nitrogenous metabolic waste which gets generated in the body. When we remove all these waste, the process is something which we say as excretion. And in excretion, again, depending on what type of nitrogenous waste the organism's body is producing, we have studied three different categories. The first one being ammoniotelic, in which the nitrogenous waste is nothing but ammonia, and such organisms which are the aquatic organisms mainly which remove ammonia as their nitrogenous waste are the ones which are known as ammoniotelic. If the organism is releasing uric acid in the form of a nitrogenous waste like the birds mainly, then those are the one which we say as uricotelic organisms. And examples like us who release nitrogenous waste in the form of urea, then such organisms are known as the ureotelic organisms, and this process is known as ureotelic mode mainly. In the case of excretion, we have studied about the basic important structural cells of the kidney, which are nothing but the nephrons. So, how do you define nephron as? So, these are the structural and the functional unit of the kidney, which helps in the process of filtration of the blood. That's how you define nephron as. And lastly, we have studied the concept of hemodialysis. So, how do you define hemodialysis as? So, it is the process of purifying the blood through an artificial kidney. And why do we do this? We are basically doing this, or the patients basically do this, because of the insufficiency or inefficiency in the functioning of the normal kidneys that are there in the body. When they stopped functioning efficiently is what we need to take help of the artificial kidney. And this process where the blood is filtered through an artificial kidney is the concept we say as hemodialysis. So just to add you children, here I have not explained you anything in detail, because this is just a video where I'm talking about only the definition part. Entire concept in detail is covered in all the different videos if you are going to check out my channel. So just go through those videos if you want to understand what are the concepts. How do you define and how do you write the definition is what I have explained you entirely in this session today. Just to add you as the last part now, I have already uploaded various shorts in the form of notes and in a playlist. And what is the name of the playlist? The name of the playlist is Extra Information with Notes. This is the name of the playlist. So you can go to my channel, go to this playlist, and in this playlist, you are going to see all these important differences that I have talked about in detail and in writing. So you can note down all these differences and you can get a good short note. And again, this is a very possible question of not 1 mark, but maybe of higher marks that you can get in exams. So I hope I have made you clear. I have made available various concepts to you in note form. So it's still, I hope you guys are clear, and still in case if you have got doubts, you can message to me in the comment section box. If you still needs definition on the different organs as well, you can make down a note on that. I'll surely make a video onto it. So these were all the important definitions, children, here that I have talked with regards to the concepts on the chapter life process. As I said, I have not explained anything here because this video is not on explanation. I have only talked about how does this definition, and in case if needed, just a little here and there, a concept regarding it, but not a detailed explanation. So if you want a detailed explanation on any of the concept, entire concepts is what is covered on my channel. You can go to those videos, check out those videos if you want to understand the concept in detail mainly. So these were all the important definitions which I have covered with regards to the chapter life process. If you feel there are few definitions that I might have missed out, you can just give a note to me in the comment section box, and then I'll be making a separate video. Maybe if they are more in number, I'll make, or either I'll do something or the other way to bring those definitions to you mainly. All right. Just last important thing I want to say, on my playlist, like on my channel, there is a playlist which is stated as and which is named as Extra Information with Notes. So you can go to my channel, go to the playlist section and go to this playlist mainly, which is extra information with notes. And there you can find all these important differences or comparisons that I have made on all these different sets of parameters, and they are available in written form, so you can pen them down as well so that you can note them in your notebooks or in your copies mainly, and in case if they get a question in exam mainly, so you will be able to appear these questions as well. So these parts I have not talked about today in detail, but these differences or comparisons are available on my channel. Just go to those short links, check out those links. And one request I have from you all guys, if you are finding my videos useful, one request I have from you guys, if you guys are liking my video, if you guys are liking my content, then just show me some motivation, share it with your friend, give a thumbs up mainly, just note down something to me in the comment section box so that it can motivate me to work more for you guys. Alright, so that was all about today's session. I hope you guys are clear with the video. If you have any doubt again, just message to me in the comment section box. And then until then, as I always say, happy learning guys. I just have one request from all of you, those who all are watching my channel. In case if you're liking the content of my videos, if you're liking the way I teach mainly, and if it's helping to you in some or the other way, just show me some motivation by giving a thumbs up. It will just show me how much you guys are liking my videos. If possible, just drop some comments to me so that I can get motivated that yes, you guys are liking my work, and then it will really motivate me to work further for you guys as well. Share the videos if you're finding them useful with your friends so that it reach to more number of people. These are just few signs you guys can motivate me to make more videos for you people. Alright, so thank you so much for watching the video. I hope this video will be helpful to you. And again, if you have any doubt, just message to me in the comment section box. And as I always say, happy learning guys, prepare well for your exams. Thank you for watching the video.